Hey everyone, we're back with another exciting Palworld video. Today we'll be discussing the ultimate breeding base setup that will make your life so much easier. Now there are some issues with the AI pathfinding and pals getting stuck in the game, but don't worry, in this video we'll show you the perfect breeding base setup and in my opinion the best overall base setup to efficiently handle everything in Palworld. I know base building may not seem too complicated, but trust me, there are several things you can do to improve efficiency and ensure you have everything you need in one base without any problems. No more dealing with sanity issues, depressions, or fractures. We'll make sure all the pathing works perfectly. Now, since this is a breeding focused base, we'll be using 3 breeding pens. You'll be able to keep all of them full at all times while still having access to everything else you need. If you want to build in the exact location I'm using, start in the plateau beginnings and head all the way to the west corner of the map. There's a starting zone up there, and if it's available on your server, you can build in this flat location right here. But don't worry, there are plenty of other flat locations throughout Palworld where you can build something similar. You'll notice these big brown spots on the map, which are perfect for building bases. The developers definitely had these flat locations in mind for players to utilize. Now let's address the issues with breeding pens and pals not breeding or recognizing them as work areas. It's a common problem in Palworld, but there are a few ways to resolve it. First, make sure there are no other work locations very close to your breeding base. This will help ensure smooth breeding operations. Make sure to keep resting spots a bit far away from the breeding pen. While we have our hot spring nearby, it's important to note that having another resting spot on the other side hasn't caused any issues. However, the main concern is the proximity of the breeding pen to the edge of your base. If it's touching or even slightly over the edge, it will often break the breeding pen. It's advisable to have it a little further away from the base, especially if you plan on breeding large pals. For example, if a Geomantide's tail or body goes outside of the base, it tends to glitch and leave the breeding pen or not count it as a potential working place. Another recommendation for any working location is to have beds and necessary items close by, so the pals don't have to move too far. We have 2 beds outside each breeding pen and resting spots in the hot springs if needed. Additionally, I ensure the beds are close to the ranches so that our pals don't have to travel long distances to perform their specific tasks. Now, when it comes to the feeding bin, it's best to place it at the center of the base without any obstructions that the pals might get stuck on. Another important tip about the feed bin is to use baked berries as the basic food source for your base. They provide slightly more nutrition and also restore 1 sanity each time they are consumed. Fill up the remaining slots in the feed bin with non-expiring items such as honey. You can find these items from Bee-Guard and Elizabeth. The Bee-Guard will farm them up in your ranch and you can just leave them there as they won't eat them. Your pals will always prioritize food in the leftmost slot, so we have baked berries there, which means they will always eat baked berries. Now, the next best food to keep in your food bin is salad. This will slightly improve your work speed for a period of time. For example, if we use it on our Anubis, the base work speed is 70, but if we feed it salad, the work speed will increase by 30%. There are other foods you can use, but personally I think the most sustainable upgrade you can get is salad. It provides decent sanity recovery and a 30% work speed increase, and is super easy to make, only needing lettuce and tomatoes. Now let's talk about the base setup and placement and how to improve efficiency as a whole. As I've mentioned before, I like to keep things as close as possible, especially when it comes to the placement of certain types of jobs. It's important to have gaps between things so your pals can move around freely. You'll notice that everything that requires watering or planting is really close by. We have a tomato plant, 2 lettuce plantations, and 2 wheat plantations. I want all that wheat for food and for cakes. We also have a bunch of red berry plantations, 2 in total. I've also got our mills set up here, which means our Geomantide are always nearby to water everything. They don't have to go far at all. Whenever I need something done, they can do it instantly. Plus, there are beds here for all the workers in this area. I have a Lylene, a Verdash, and Geomantide and Suzaku Aqua taking care of all the watering. I could probably get by with just 1 watering pal, but I'd like to make sure all my crops are well watered and everything runs smoothly. Basically, my pals are working non-stop except when they need a bath. With proper food, they can work all the time without getting tired or upset, and since they don't have to move far from this area, they never get stuck and everything runs incredibly well. Now, when it comes to the breeding pens, you want to be careful not to place them too close to the edge of the blue circle here. Mine is pretty close, but you want to make sure it's not touching or going over the edge, otherwise your pals might break. The biggest advantage of this setup is that you have everything perfectly arranged to cool your fridge using Vanbram crisps. Personally, I prefer using them because they work at night and are great for transporting materials. If you need electricity, you can rely on any electric pal. I'm using Orsurk, but any electric pal will do. Geomantide and Suzaku Aqua for watering, while Lylene and Verdash will take care of all your planting needs. This leaves us with 6 more slots for breeding whatever we want, all at the same time. For cake production, we have 2 of each ranch pals, 2 chickpea, 2 Bee-Guard, and 2 mozzarella. And with this setup, I can make over 1 100 cakes daily, which is crucial for a breeding base. That's why I have 2 ranches available to me, one right here and another next to the breeding pen over here. The only important thing to remember is not to use too many large pals, as they tend to get stuck more often. That's why I prefer using Vanram Crest. Lylene is the best planter available, and Verdash is also one of the top gatherers. The only large pals I recommend using are Jormuntide and Jormuntide Ignis, and of course the pals you choose for your breeding pen are mandatory. I absolutely love having 2 ranches because it allows me to assign up to 4 pals to each ranch. It's amazing how even with all the cake making, I still have over 1,000 honey, 290 eggs and almost 600 milk. The best part is that you can swap out any of these pals to completely overload your ranches, and within minutes you'll have a massive amount of resources. That's all for today. Let me know in the comments below how you've set up your breeding base. I really hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.